Hi, I'm Don Stigall. This is the DLE-35RA 35cc gas engine for model airplanes. This engine has been out of the box, but I haven't taken the components out of the bags. Just took a quick look at the engine, checked some mounting information and that kind of stuff. But of course it has a user guide, and it's nicely packed with foam molded to fit the engine, and we have exhaust gaskets, standoffs, the engine itself, extensions for the muffler, which mounts on the rear of the engine, and it has dual exhaust. And then we have the ignition components and a spark plug. The DLE-35 is very similar in size to the DLE-30. However, the lugs for the top standoffs are wider because of the porting, making the case need to be a little wider, so you can't directly bolt it where a 30 or a OSGT-33 or any of the DLE-30 clones mount. You'll have to add additional holes. That's not a big deal, but it's something to be aware of. What I'm going to do is take the standoffs with the standoffs on it. You can see that there's some clearance with the firewall, so you don't have to recess anything for the carburetor, which is a nice feature. Next thing I'm going to do is put the muffler on. With the muffler on, you can see that it too has clearance when the engine's mounted on the standoffs. This should be quite convenient for warbirds with skinnier noses, or things like J3 Cubs, or anything that has a relatively narrow cowl. The ignition is similar to the ignitions that come with most of the engines. This one says the working voltage is 4.8 to 8.4 volts. That means that lithium polymer batteries may be a possibility. I might use a regulator just to be sure that it doesn't damage the ignition. I'll decide how to deal with that. It has a lead for a onboard tachometer. It's nice to have one of those little tachs on your plane so you can see the RPMs without having to use a tachometer. And it has the spark plug. And like I said, it has a angled connector for the spark plug that's also angled, so you may be able to keep this thing completely cowed in a lot of situations, but you'll still need sufficient airflow. This is the DLE mount by PSP Manufacturing, and this is a PSP Manufacturing test stand base that I have mounted to this piece of board. And with this engine, unfortunately, because of the way the bolts are arranged, I could use the bottom bolts, but the top bolts would require drilling and compromising a hole. So I have a new standard backplate mount from PSP, and I will drill it out so that I can mount the engine either upright or inverted. I'll create two sets of holes. Some people believe in running the engines inverted if you're going to fly them or start them in the airplane inverted. Personally, I like running the engines upright. I've been working on a Warbird racing class called Warbird 80, and you can go to warbird80.com or warbird80racing.com, and the limitation is that the engine is under 40.99 cc's. Since this is a 35, it fits in that range. I also have a DLE-30, a OSGT-33, an MLD-35, and I'm probably getting a Turnigy TR-32 to test. I'm going to do a roundup of all the engines and the performance and show all the measurements and stuff that you need. So I hope you'll tune into that series on this class of engine. I will be breaking this engine in and running it and seeing how it performs. I may mount this engine in a quarter scale Cub by the World Models. It's currently set up for a DLE-30, but it's not completed, and I can easily test out the fit of this engine. And with the rear exhaust, not having to have a muffler hanging out the side would be attractive on that airplane. The prop configuration on the DLE-30 and the DLE-35 uses 4mm bolts to hold the prop washer in place. It has a 10mm or .390 shaft that the propeller goes over, and it's tapped for an M5 bolt if you want to add a spinner or something that needs a bolt onto the front. So one thing I highly recommend is getting a DLE-30, DLE-35 drill jig for your props so you can get your props drilled properly. It makes life a lot easier, and you just mount this in there. I drop a screw in once I've drilled one hole, and then drill the other holes, and I get a perfect fit. The only thing is making sure you set up the propeller so that when the engine stops, it's in a sideways orientation so you don't break your props. So stay tuned for more videos, and thanks for watching.